Hello. Okay. All right. Today, boys and girls, we're going to continue our knowledge unit, and we're going to be doing. I think it's lesson 6. Yeah. All right. So we're going to be doing our knowledge today, and who can tell me what we have been talking about in knowledge, Brooklyn? Kings and queens. You're exactly right. Who can tell me something they know about kings and queens that we've learned? Rosie?
Crowns.
Yeah, tell me about the crowns.
Let the people know that the king and queen.
Right, it lets people know that they're kings and queens. If you are not part of the royal family, can you wear a crown?
No.
No. Sophia, do you have something to add? Go ahead and go. What else do we know about kings and queens? Levi? No, we're not going to the bathroom right now. Emma, what else do we know about kings and queens? Okay, anybody got anything else about kings and queens? Go ahead. Do what? The throne. Yes, what is a throne? Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Can anybody be a king or a queen?
No.
Who can be a king or a queen?
The royal people. Royal family, but if kids playing it, you can still play it.
Yeah, you can play. You can play kings and queens and pretend. You're right, but only the royal family. So their mom or dad has to be a king or a queen, right? And so if their mom and dad is a king or a queen, what does that make the kids?
A princess and a prince.
A prince and a princess. That is exactly right. All right. Today we're going to read another story about a royal family. About a royal family. But before we get started, I want to talk about some things first. Who can tell me what an author does? What does an author do? Close. Writes the words. Do you remember my little song from earlier in the year?
Yeah.
Let's sing it. The author writes the words. The author writes the words. Hi, ho, we all know the author writes the words. And the story that we're going to read today is a really old story. It's almost 200 years old. And the author of this story, his name was Hans Christian Andersen. And he is a very well-known author, Hans Christian Andersen. All right. So, who can tell me, what does an author do?
Writes the words.
Writes the words. And who's the author of our story today? I just told y'all.
Martin first.
No. Hans Christian Andersen. Let's say that together. Hans Christian Andersen. That's right. All right. The title of our story is called The Princess and the Pea. And you may have already heard this story, but this may be a different version than you're used to. Okay? So I want you to listen carefully to find out about the princess and the pea. What is a pea?
It's a pea white.
You eat a pea? Yeah.
The pea round and green like the circle.
They are round, but we call them more of a sphere. We'll learn about spheres later. They are round and they are green. How big are they?
They're small.
They are really small. They are teeny tiny, aren't they? They're really small. And I actually pulled up a picture of peas, or these are some peas. I pulled up a picture of some peas so you can see exactly how small they are. How many of you like to eat peas? Yeah, I like peas. Peas are good.
I ate them last night.
This story takes place in a little country called Denmark. Can you say Denmark? Denmark. Good. Now, remember, I've showed you a world map before, remember? This is where we live. Do you see that? Denmark is this little red country. Do you see that? Is it a long ways away? Yes, it is a long ways away. You would have to take an airplane or a boat to get there, wouldn't you? Yeah. Couldn't drive a car because there's not a bridge that goes from the United States to Denmark. Okay? All right. Y'all ready to read about Princess and the Pea?
Yeah.
All right. Once upon a time, there was a prince who wanted to marry a princess. But not just any princess, he wanted to marry a real princess. So he traveled all over the world looking for a real princess. He went from kingdom to kingdom and he met plenty of princesses. Of course, they were all beautiful, talented, graceful, and kind. And the word graceful means moving or speaking in a smooth, beautiful way. But never did the prince feel that he had found an absolutely, totally, completely real princess. So sad and disappointed, he returned home. Could the prince find a princess? No, he couldn't. He didn't find not one that he liked, did he? Rosie, can you put that away, please? Back at the castle, his mother, the queen, asked him, "Did you find a princess?" "Oh, I found plenty of princesses," the prince replied, "but I never felt sure that I had found a real princess." That night, there was a terrible storm. Lightning flashed, thunder crashed, and the wind howled. How many of you have ever heard the wind howl? What's it sound like? Yeah, it kind of sounds like that, doesn't it?
Like a wolf.
It's loud and it's kind of sad. Yeah, like a wolf.
Like.
And the rain poured down. In the middle of a storm, there was a knock at the palace door. The king opened the door, and there, standing in the rain, was a princess. And oh my, she was a mess. Her hair was dripping, her clothes were torn and muddy, and water poured out of her shoes. "Who are you?" asked the queen. "I am a princess," she said. "Really? A real princess? Does she look like a real princess to you?"
No. Yes.
Does she?
No.
No, I don't think she looks like a real princess. Not to me.
Not you either. Yeah.
She looks like a mess, doesn't she?
Yay!
Yes.
And princesses never get kicked out the palace.
Huh, said the queen. And she thought to herself, "We'll soon see about that." The queen went into her bedroom and took all the sheets and the blanket off. What's the queen holding in that picture? Sort of pea. Then she put one tiny pea on the bed. And on top of that, she piled 20 mattresses. That's a lot of mattresses, isn't it?
I've heard this story on TV.
And on top of those, 20 feather-filled filled paths. Here is where you will sleep tonight, she said to the princess. Why do you think that, and since you've already heard it, don't say, okay? Why do you think the queen put a pea under the soft mattresses and the pads?
I don't know.
Luke, why do you think?
Because to get the bed soft.
But why would she put the pea there?
I know, but I'm not gonna tell.
Okay, don't say it, you know. Rosie, why would she put the pea there?
I want to get the princess kicked out.
To get the princess kicked out? Do you think it looks like a comfortable bed to sleep in?
Yes.
With all those mattresses and soft pads?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The next morning at the breakfast table, the queen asked the princess, "Did you have a good night's sleep?" "No, not at all," said the princess. "Really?" "I tossed and turned all night. Something was in the bed, and it was so hard and lumpy. Why, I'm bruised black and blue all over." Can you guys believe that she was black and blue all over and it was lumpy? I mean, it had all of the pads and the mattresses. That just doesn't seem right to me, does it you?
No.
So, she had felt the pea through the 20 mattresses and the 20 feather-filled pads. Can you believe that she felt that pea?
No, it was tiny little tiny looking, putting in 2 fingers.
That's right. The queen and her son smiled at each other. Surely only a real princess could be so delicate and sensitive. So the prince married her and felt happy that he had at last found a real princess. And as for the pea, it was placed in a museum where it may still be seen if nobody has taken it. And that, children, is a real story. What y'all think about the Princess and the Pea?
Cool.
Let me ask you a question. What test does the queen use to see if the visitor is a real princess?
You put a pea on the mattress.
She put the pea under the mattress. That's right. Because only a real princess would be what? So sensitive and delicate. Do you know what delicate means? Delicate means like fragile.
Yeah, really fragile, like glass. It's dropping.
That's right. So if your mom has like a pretty vase at home that's made of glass, that's fragile. Okay? All right. In the beginning of the fairy tale, what trouble does the prince have as he travels from one kingdom to another? What trouble does he have?
A lot. He doesn't find the princess. He can't find the princess.
He can't find the princess. Who can tell me what the princess looked like when she arrived in the princess castle? Luke.
So, she looks wet.
Wet. Yeah.
Dirty.
Yeah, and dirty and messy, didn't she? Yeah. Good job. Did the princess sleep well?
No.
Why?
Because the pea was under the mattress.
The pea was under the mattress. In this read aloud, you heard, of course, the princesses were all beautiful, talented, graceful, and kind. Say the word graceful with me. If someone is graceful, he or she moves, speaks, or acts in a smooth and beautiful way. The bride looked very graceful as she danced at her wedding. What word have we been talking about? Graceful. Yes, graceful is the word. All right, boys and girls. Today we heard The Princess and the Pea. We also talked about what an author is. And what is an author again?
It writes the
I'll be right with you, okay? All right, so online people, in your Kings and Queens book, okay, you're going to turn to lesson 6, The Princess and the Pig. This work says characters. It says draw a picture of the characters in the story. Setting. The setting is where the story is. Draw a picture of the setting. Okay? Where is the setting of the story? So, online people, you're going to do this, and that's it. All right. I will see you tomorrow because I'll be recording knowledge.